Your reproductive organs, your glutes, and your pelvic floor are all connected. Emotions like blame, jealousy, hysteria, or even feeling tranquil relate to this area. It either hurts these organs or helps these organs while processing that stuff. Today we're going to talk about how to strengthen your pelvic floor, your glutes, and those reproductive organs that relate to the same reflex pathways and nutrient needs. If we can do this, we can have happy hips and happy hormones, and we're going to do that through some acupuncture. We're going to do it through some nutrients and some lymphatic work, physically exercising the muscles in the area, and processing those emotions in the background. The reproductive organs. This is where our life starts. Thank God we have those so we can produce life and procreate and help this species keep going on the planet. Also, they're meant for all those happy hormones to keep us moving along in life and balancing out those creative aspects of life. The uterus, the ovaries, the testicles, and the prostate is what we're talking about. These are organs that bring new life. Okay, they help us continue the race. They personally produce those specific hormones that help us heal, that help us through different cycles throughout the month and throughout our life. We experience ups and downs in these hormones throughout the day and throughout the month and throughout the seasons. And if you're a woman, we know that we have menopause at that midlife, and men have andropause. It's the same thing. We have a lowering of certain hormones, but there's hope. We can actually strengthen those areas, continue the production of those hormones longer and longer. And vitality is the result. So let's get to it. We know that diet and stress play a huge role now. So these organs can produce the right amount of hormones as long as you give it that ground substance and control the stress in the background so there's not overproduction of certain hormones, and eat the right nutrients so that you actually have that ground material to build the hormones on. So you might want to think about the diet. Some basic nutrients. This should be in everybody's medicine cabinet, or at least in the food that you're eating on a regular basis. And I don't care what your diet preference is out there. We know science-wise there's some basic ground substance that humans objectively need for their immune system and their cells to work properly. Men, we have a different gland down there, and I know I've had some prostatitis in the past. Drinking too much caffeine and dehydrating myself really played a role in my 20s when I was experiencing stuff like that. So I backed off of a lot of caffeine, stopped stressing my adrenals so much, and hydrated well. Water, not tap water. We want clean water, and you can add a good mineral salt to that if you want, but some good water and zinc. Zinc is a key nutrient. You can get that from pumpkin seeds. You can take a supplement, get oysters. A lot of seafood has that. Nuts, seeds, seafood. Take a supplement if needed. It's a huge bonus for your immune system and your man gland, I call it. So water, zinc, omega-6, good fatty acids out of fish, eggs, grass-fed butter, good omega-6 anti-inflammatory. And any herbs that will help with your kidney as well. Also directly for the prostate, saw palmetto. This is pretty famous. Saw palmetto berries are great for inflamed prostate. A probiotic, we want to keep control of any extra yeast in the system and any extra bacteria that want to take over. We want our good friendly bacteria warriors on our side, a probiotic. And a longevity herb out of Chinese medicine, I've been using this since I was about 18 years old. Ginseng. If you look at the plant here, it actually looks like a little man. It's an adaptogen herb, so it'll help with blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol levels. Kind of balances a lot of things out, and it's great for the adrenals, great for our reproductive organs, good longevity. That's for men. For women, omega-6, again, crucial for women, anti-inflammatory, not omega-3s. If we can get omega-6s out of good seafood, even grass-fed beef, or take a supplement if you need to. But get a quality, clean one from a reputable source, because a lot of those can sit on the shelf and go rancid. It's going backwards if you're at that point. We want anti-inflammatory, not inflammatory. Omega-6, again, water with good quality mineralized salt. Probiotic, we want to keep control of the yeast again and help our good bacteria on our side. Here's another one for women that have PCOS issues. Inositol. That's great for the nervous system as well, for men too. B vitamins across the board, be bonus. And there are some good herbs for women. That's not really my specialty because I don't have those organs. Haven't paid attention to them my whole life like I have the other organs I own. There are some good herbs out there, evening primrose and other ones that really will help you through menopause and perimenopause. So some key nutrients, those are just some basic stuff. If you're not getting that from your diet, supplement. That's a quick way to macronutrient up the results. Across the board for both men and women, D3, good sunshine, and supplement in the wintertime if you're not getting that good sunshine. So D3 as well. So those are some basic nutrients, okay? The circulation sex meridian. This is what we call it in kinesiology, circulation sex, because we know it relates to circulation of bodily fluids and our reproductive organs. In traditional Chinese medicine, it's called the pericardium meridian, the sac that's around your heart and lungs. And it also refers to sometimes what we call the emotional heart. We have a real heart. We have this other expression of the heart, which protects our heart. It's the heart protector. And you can see how that plays out in these organs and the circulation of these hormones. How it's going to be sort of our heart protector and another expression of similar emotions. But the meridian itself, we can work with it. It's pretty easy to find. We call it nip to tip. It goes from nipple or just lateral from the nipple right there up over the arm, right inside the elbow crease, right down the middle, right down to the tip of the middle finger. And the easy way to stimulate that is through manual movement. You can do pressure all the way down the meridian to the end. You can swipe it with good intention and swiping that chi down that river. There are some key points. You can simply touch your thumb to that middle finger, and that's the end of the meridian. You can work right outside the nipple. There's a good reflex, actually a lymphatic reflex as well for your adductor muscles right there. But that's the beginning of the meridian. And then we have an emotional point right here, circulation sex number 3. So we can hold that sometimes when we have some emotional issues. There's another one that's kind of famous for nausea right here. You've seen people with these little bracelets or rubbing that for motion sickness or chemotherapy sickness or anything like that right there. But working the meridian all the way down there, that helps those organs related and the muscles related. That's the acupuncture aspect. Now we have some lymphatic points that will help the organs lymph movement and the related muscle lymph movement. There's one right outside the nipple here, and directly behind it, if you find your shoulder blade in the back, go right underneath it, and if there's a tight spot between a couple of ribs right there, whoo, you'll find it. If you can't find it, it's probably not there. That relates directly to the adductor muscles. And adductors, you see where they originate right there in that pelvic floor. So that's also going to help with some pelvic floor stuff. And then we have some, you can see them right here at the pubic symphysis in the front. Women that have had hysterectomies or C-section, and you have a scar right there or a tummy tuck, this can inhibit this lymph flow. Or if you've got hypermobility in these ligaments and that pubic symphysis keeps shifting around, that can affect these reflexes as well. So right on the upper edge of that, we've got some lymphatic spots for the glute medius muscle. And then we see some directly in the back, next to L4, L5, and in that little crease, the low back, for your glute medius and glute max. Then we have a unique one that relates to the broad ligament internally that would be supporting the uterus. And I found this on clients a lot of times where they'll have a hysterectomy and I won't know it yet, but I'll test those certain muscles and that reflex will be active and really tender on that person. And then I'll ask if you had a hysterectomy. And they just think I'm psychic because I'm reading the body. I'm just touching the reflex and I realized it's very tender on this person. Nobody's ever worked with it. Most likely that's what happened. And it usually shows up not too long after the operation. Even people that haven't had hysterectomy, if it's active and we need to work it. See that line that's just anterior to the IT band. I like to work the whole IT band. That is a portion of the attachment of the glute max. So we can work that for the glute max. And the other one's to strengthen the other muscles. If we rub those for about 15, 30 seconds, make it comfortably uncomfortable, drink some water, and try to activate the muscle immediately. You'll know when it works. It seems like it just wakes the muscle up. So that's for muscle function, but remember, these lymphatic reflexes were actually mapped out way before we even knew they were related to a muscle. This comes from Dr. Chapman's neurolymphatic reflexes, and they were meant for organ function way before we knew they were going to help muscle function, before muscle testing came into the picture with those reflexes. So we knew that these were going to help lymphatic flow to those areas, and your lymph system is a big part of your, well, it's your trash system. It's going to take all the junk out and bring nutrients in as part of your immune system. So it's immune juice. Boost the health of these organs by keeping that lymph flow. We cannot leave out the fact that we have a sacrum right here in the middle, and your sacroiliac joint relates to all these muscles and the pelvic floor. So that's the hub where it attaches your pelvis to your spine, and it's the base of your spine and the base of where your cerebral spinal fluid comes down and acts like a pump that pumps it back up to circulate around the brain. And we have some certain reflexes along the spine here that will influence the strength of these muscles and how well the brain is talking to the organ and muscles and how well they can talk back through the same circuitry back to the brain. If we have any subluxation or fixations in the spine, then we're going to have literally wire issues at that point. And there's an interesting reflex all the way up at the top of your neck, first couple cervicals. If you've got issues with that, you're going to have some issues with your glutes, just simply because there's a complete mirror effect of the vertebrae. It's called the Lovett connection. We have vertebrae that rotate similar or the same or the exact opposite, just like your sacrum and your occipital bone are mirrors of each other. Your C1 and C2 are going to mirror L4 and L5. So fixations at the top of your spine will affect your glutes. Don't forget about that. Here's the muscles that are related to the circulation, sex, meridian, and internal organs we're talking about. The adductors internally. And I found these often a lot of people are sometimes really tight on a lot of people, and you know there's some type of trauma base a lot of times around that and around pelvic floor issues, because it's a personal issue when it comes down to sex and reproduction and things like that. And sometimes there is some legit trauma attached to the area and the muscles are still in a guarding phase. And hopefully working these reflexes with that awareness can release a lot of that. The adductors. We also have the piriformis muscle. This stabilizes the sacrum. And this is famous for sciatica syndromes or piriformis muscle syndrome. The piriformis muscle. We have the glute medius. This one doesn't get enough credit. A weak glute medius, like I had for a long time, was causing a tilt in my pelvis. Feet issues and neck issues. Strengthened into that glute medius helped my bunion on one side, helped my SI joint, and helped my neck. Good stuff. Glute medius. Then we have the glute max. This should be the strongest muscle in the body. And there's an epidemic that's happening nowadays. That's the funniest term I ever heard. It is literally called gluteal amnesia. You have forgotten to use your ass or forgotten to get up off of it. What that really means is that the muscle has not been used properly, or it has some inhibited in some way, or we're starting to really atrophy and lose a neurological connection to the brain. We do not want that. So we can wake it up, but we have to do something to actually do the exercises. So here's a few for the glute medius and the glute max right here. I like to use one of those hip bands to start out with. Even if I'm going to gym to work some legs, I'll wake the muscle up right here with the glute medius, and we'll use the hip band, or we're just pushing directly up. Make sure you have something to stabilize with one hand, because you're going to be standing on one foot, and then you can really push out to one side and activate that glute medius on the side. If it's not firing strong, remember you can work these reflexes first. Or even what we call therapy localized and touch the reflex while you're working the muscle. And sometimes that'll help really fire good while you're exercising it. So that's glute medius. And then we have, for glute max, I always put people through this drill before they get off the table if they came in with low back pain. I want their glutes to fire really strongly. And this exercise will show us if the whole subsystem is working. We have that posterior oblique subsystem where we have the obliques here, the glutes, glute medius, glute max, and obliques firing together. And they complex with the adductors as well. And that's all stabilized in the core in relation to the hip. So this is the glute bridge. You can do it with the band. You can do it without the band. I like it with the band because you're going to push out and activate glute medius a little stronger. You can then eventually graduate to where you can do a single leg one, and that will really challenge your oblique muscles in that whole cooperation. So those are some basic exercises. And then, of course, if you can target that at the gym with some deeper stuff, go for it. We need it strong enough so it has a good, strong resting tone, so you don't have to go activate the muscle all the time for it to feel strong. Now, you can add some Kegels at the top of that glute bridge anytime you're doing any of this. If you add a little Kegel exercise and contract the bottom of that pelvic floor, while you're doing it, you're adding to that cooperation. In conclusion, strong glutes equal confidence. You can actually stand up and propel yourself forward. Remember, it should be the strongest muscle in the body. Let's make it that way. If we know that's working, we've got a healthy low back and we've got a healthy production of hormones that are helping us move forward in life instead of feeling stagnant. So healthy organs equals happy hormones. Remember to like and share the video. We need more info out there like this so people can be self-empowered and they can control their own body and have that vitality for themselves. I'll see you in the next video.